I'm Dr. Barry, licensed psychologist, and here we talk about true crime and psychology. Thank you so much for joining. Let's hop right into today's topic. Let's go.
Welcome, welcome. Thank you, Sarah, for gifting a membership. I try to make most of my availables accessible to everyone. I do have a few members only streams, or I have some older podcast videos that my mom and I did. So some of those things exist over in the members only section. So congrats to anybody that received that membership. Today, we are talking about Juliana's sentencing. Okay. I am not going to play her apology because I think Judge Penny did a phenomenal job like after the fact. So a little bit about this case if you are new to it. Brendan Banfield and the au pair that was hired from Brazil. Brendan and Juliana started an affair, and then they conspired together to get rid of Brendan's wife, Christine, and they wanted to frame Joseph Ryan, an innocent person. They wanted to frame him for her murder, and then that Brendan would look like the hero coming in to save his wife. Well, Juliana also did a pew pew. So Joseph ended up being, I can't say certain words at the beginning of the video. YouTube, thank you. But Judge Penny does a phenomenal job going through all of that. Like, she did such a great job. And she paid attention to everything. She did not miss a thing, because I felt that Juliana minimized her testimony. And what I mean by that is she seemed to minimize her role in everything. And she was almost trying to be like, oh, I like trying to make it seem like, I don't know, like her testimony, I understand why the defense was frustrated, because it's like, okay, a year ago, you could identify which 5 messages you wrote. Can you identify those now? And she wouldn't do it. But I think that was more about her wanting to sell her story. That's my personal thought. I don't know that to be true. But her getting up there trying to look like this innocent, naive person that just was misguided. Also, her being a little vague in her testimony. I wonder if she was thinking, if he got off, I wonder if, I don't know, like, I wonder if they're really done. There was a small part of me that was like, did she say just enough to get her deal, but not enough to get him convicted? Because I do think she could have been more forthright about her role and everything. And my heart goes out to Joseph Ryan and Christine's families. Christine's family did release a statement, and I will read that. Let me just give me one moment to pull it up. It was released in some local, it was released by the local news. So Christine Banfield's family is the Benson family. And it says, the entire Benson family would like to thank the jurors for their time, careful attention to the evidence, and for giving justice to Christine and our family. The jury would not have been able to render their unanimous decision without the investigation and persistence of the Fairfax County Police Department. We are grateful for the resources and effort that went into this case, as well as the dedication. We recognize that this trial was complex and had several nuances that presented a unique set of challenges for which the Fairfax Commonwealth Attorney's Office navigated successfully, and we thank them for it. We are grateful to all of those involved in this case, including the forensic experts, all persons who came forward to provide information to the police, and the witnesses who testified on behalf of the Commonwealth. We are thankful to the Fairfax County Sheriff's Office for all of their assistance with the trial. Throughout this entire process, we have been supported by an amazing group of Christine's coworkers and friends. We thank you for your time and support during the trial. We are forever grateful to the Fairfax County Victim Services Unit who were with us from sorry. So we are forever grateful to the Fairfax County Victim Services Unit who were with who there because I keep getting stuck on that part, who were there with us from the beginning, providing support, guidance, and resources. Our sympathy is with Joe Ryan's family as we understand the loss and grief that they are experiencing. He, like Christine, was an innocent victim. Christine was an honest, faithful, caring, compassionate, helpful person who was dedicated to her family, friends, and patients. She loved her family deeply and was devoted to her marriage. Christine suffered a violent, horrific, senseless death. The lies told about her after her murder were just as painful as her death. We are committed to ensuring that Christine will always be remembered as the beautiful person she was to everyone that loved her. So I wanted to share that statement because in this sentencing, because Juliana, she did a plea deal with the prosecutor at the time. And it's my understanding it's the former prosecutor, and he might have got caught. Like, I don't know. There were some allegations that were made. Y'all can put them in the chat if you know them. But the deal, she got a sweetheart deal because she was only charged with one count of manslaughter. That was all she pled guilty to. And it was only for Joseph Ryan. And because of that charge, Christine's family was not able to give impact statements because the judge could only consider the victim that she was charged for. And that only victim was Joseph Ryan. And so Joseph Ryan's family testified. So his mother testified via Zoom. And then there was also I think it was like a step. So there was also, I think she called herself a grandmother, but she testified as well. And they both honored Christine's family too. And then let's get to the awesome. And so Juliana did make a statement and there were tears. Okay, so let's talk about Juliana's statement. So hey. And she might genuinely have remorse, but I loved everything that Judge A said because she tried to continue to say that she did not think he was going to go forward with the plan. And at no time did she think he was going to move forward with the plan. But it's like, ma'am, you set up the zoo date, the fake zoo play date. You let him know that you are aware of what y'all have set Christine up for. And he's going to run in. What did you think was going to happen? And so, like, her trying to play the naive person, I'm glad Judge A gave her the heaviest sentence that she could. And yeah, that's just it was a lot. It was a lot. All right. Yeah. Yes. And the judge reminded the defense lawyer that it was a recommendation. It was not a done deal. And Juliana was told that when she pled guilty, because normally they put on the record, you are aware that this is a recommendation, but she could have been found guilty of first degree, or they could have said manslaughter for both with 20 years that she could have been facing. It was wow. And then so RSA West said, Dr. Berry, I thought Juliana was not truly remorseful. Do you think she is capable of remorse or may be able to accept responsibility as she gets older? So she seems kind of self-centered. I don't know whether she is, but like she seems very, very, because in her statement, it seemed to be a lot about herself. Like she seemed to be crying for herself. and like the future she was looking at, like, I don't know. And I think, and there could have been some real pain at coming to terms with what she did to the daughter, because the daughter was in the basement during this entire incident. For the rest of like, when this child gets older and understands that her dad and nanny that she loved had her in the basement while they did the things to her mother, like that's gonna do some stuff. And so, question, do we know if it is a full 10 years? Uh, it probably includes time served. I'm guessing it probably includes time served, but I don't know. I don't know. Um, and I don't think she would fight if there was an attempt to deport her, because so in our area in Fairfax and in Virginia, it's really common for ICE to show up to court, to show up places, and to attempt to detain and remove people. So I would not, but and the judge also added 2 additional years of probation, I believe. I think there were 2 additional years of probation added on. So I don't know that she'll really do all 10. I could be wrong. I'm sorry if that makes anybody sad, but I'm glad that she was charged with it though. Her just getting time served and getting to walk out of there, that wouldn't have felt right to me personally. It wouldn't have felt right to me. Okay. All right. So let's get to Judge A. I am almost done. Yeah, and so she talked a lot about forgiving herself, and yeah, I know. I know. All right, so let's go on ahead and listen to this part.
To speak.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. All right. In this matter, the court does find that the manslaughter charge was the large benefit of your bargain for testifying, which was a huge bargain in a plea deal. You could have been facing life plus 3 years, and now the maximum I can sentence you to today is 10 years. That's clearly a trade for your cooperation with the Commonwealth and what the Commonwealth offered. And you accepted that along with the Commonwealth's recommendation for time served, which is not an agreement, and as you know, not binding on the court, as we discussed at length at your plea. The reduction of the charge is a mitigation. I have watched your interviews and I watched you testify, and I just cannot find any further mitigation factors for your case. You may not have come up with a plan, agreed, and an older man may have groomed you to a point, but I want to list for the record the facts that I cannot equate with accepting a time served recommendation. These are aggravating factors either not fully captured or not reflected in the sentencing guidelines. Number one, until today, you have shown no empathy for the victim in this case. Number two, you were more involved with the plan than you testified to. First off, there were numerous postings on social media platforms and text platforms looking for a target, texting and speaking directly with Joseph Ryan, encouraging him to bring the knife, and ultimately through the phone conversation, getting his consent, knowing all along you were bringing him to his death. Lying to Christine and setting up the plan for the zoo, using her devices and hiding her phone, using a child as a pawn in your plan, waiting outside for Joseph to show up, calling Mr. Banfield to bring him to this scene, and at any point for at least the month prior or that day, you could have stopped this. The plan did not work without your full involvement.
Yes.
Number three, having the loaded firearm in your pocket. Number four, bringing a child into the basement knowing 2 people were about to be murdered, to include the child's mother. Number five, hearing Christine ask you to call 911, which you did and then immediately hung up. Number six, seeing Joseph Bryan, who was shot in the head at that time, still moving and walking up to him as he lay moaning on the floor and shooting him point blank in the heart. Number seven, watching as Mr. Banfield stabbed Christine over and over again. Number eight, waiting 15 minutes before recalling 911. Number nine, telling a fabricated story for over 1.5 years, a story that depicted Joseph Ryan wrongly as a rapist and a murderer, an innocent man. And number 10, telling the child it was okay to call you mommy hours after the murder. Your actions were deliberate, self-serving, and demonstrated a profound disregard for human life. So let's get it straight. You do not deserve anything other than incarceration and a life of reflection on what you have done to the victim and this family. May it weigh heavily on your soul. So today I'm sentencing you on a manslaughter charge because that's what's before me. And the facts of this case demonstrate an intentional and calculated level of violence that is the most serious manslaughter scenario that this court has ever seen. Therefore, I do sentence you to 10 years in the penitentiary, as required by Virginia Code 19.2, 295.2. After you've completed your 10-year sentence, I will order an additional 2 years suspended, and you will be placed on probation pursuant to Virginia Code 19.2303. Since you have been convicted of a felony in Virginia, a sample of your DNA will also be drawn from the state police database. Are there any questions, Mr. Campbell? All right, anything further in this case?
I don't think so.
No, ma'am. Okay. All right, you're remanded to the custody of the sheriff.
All right. And so Judge A did a phenomenal job going over all of that. Somebody did ask a question of if she is capable of empathy. And that's where, like, I think she tried. So the statement, it was as good as it could have been. It wasn't. The worst statements I think of are like Sarah Boone or people like that. She did try to accept responsibility for her part, but I think she also kind of, I think in the statement, because she was young at the time and is still young, but I fully agree with Judge A. I also think that she is trying to profit from what happened and her talking about everything I've been through. That rubbed me the wrong way, and I'll never be able to get over that. She didn't look shocked, because I think Sarah asked if she looked shocked by the verdict. Her lawyer probably prepared her that you're probably gonna get that 10 years. Like the Judge A, she don't play. Like you're probably gonna get 10 years, and that's what she was. That's what she was sentenced to, and it was. Wow. So, but with this case, and with today being February 14th for people that celebrate Valentine's Day, I also wanted to talk about love bombing and a trauma bond versus a healthy connection. Because I think Juliana truly felt that her and Brendan, that they were in love. I think it might have been more of a trauma bond. It seemed incredibly manipulative. It seemed toxic. It did not seem healthy or safe at all. Because first of all, it had to be a secret because he had a whole wife. And so thank you, Kurt, for the $5. My husband gave me a really awesome, I got a cute little balloon. So thank you, Kurt. I love your sense of humor. Thank you so much for being here. Let's see. All right, so I have links to the resources that I'm going to talk about down in the description, and I will show you. Okay, so the first resource is by the Attachment Project. Let me share this tab, and then let's make it bigger. Whoops. Okay, hopefully StreamYard has been acting funny. I do not want to accept all of them. Let's just do the required ones. Okay, hopefully that makes this go away. Confirm. Okay, good. It goes away. All right. So once again, I have a link to this down in the description. But this talks about the 7 stages of trauma bonding. Okay. And people can get caught in a trauma bond relationship and end up trusting and depending on the person that's harming them on their control. And it can be really hard to break free. A trauma bond is a psychological connection between somebody that's causing harm and the target of their harm. Such a connection or attachment is formed through a set of repeating stages or cycles of behavior in which the target is positively reinforced to stay in the relationship. And so that's where the relationship isn't bad all the time. Like there are some good parts. Like it feels more like a roller coaster. So there are really, really high highs and there are really, really low lows. That is a like telltale sign of a trauma bond. and there's a difference between a trauma bond and somebody bonding after a trauma. So, like two people can go through something very, very troubling and then have this connection after the fact. But it can still be a healthy connection. When people connect in pain, we just have to make sure that it stays healthy because sometimes it can get unhealthy when we connect in pain. Okay. And so All right. The positive stages of the trauma bond make it difficult to identify that this is actually a harmful relationship. And so it can happen a lot, and it can happen in romantic, family relationships, it can happen in workplace relationships. And if there's any type of narcissism involved, it can happen there. Those 7 stages are love bombing, trust and dependence, criticism and devaluation, manipulation and gaslighting, resignation and giving up, loss of self, emotional addiction to the trauma bond cycle. So, what is it? It was coined by Dr. Patrick Carnes in 1997 to conceptualize the relationship that sometimes forms between somebody that is harming and the person being harmed. They're going to call this the target. Usually in relationships, bonding has a positive aspect where there's this deep emotional connection. In contrast, a trauma bond there's a harmful connection there. Okay. Please take care of your mental health as you're watching. If you have to step out, so if this is too much, let me know. And so a trauma bond is an insecure type of attachment. I wouldn't call it delusional attachment, but it is an insecure type of attachment. Okay. All right. Hope that's helpful. All right. And so they've researched, and in its early stages, the person causing harm needs power. And it can sometimes be attributed to narcissistic personality traits, not always, but it is a unhealthy attachment, similar to how someone develops an insecure attachment style. And the target normally becomes emotionally dependent on the person causing the harm. For example, if there's a caregiver-child relationship, and even though the caregiver is harmful, there's still this bond that happens. And that reminds me of that Netflix series about the mom that was cyber stalking her daughter and her daughter's boyfriend. And but that daughter still loved her mom. And they filmed, it was my understanding there were 2 different days of there was one filming that was really closer to, I think, the mom's trial, and then there was a second filming that was a little bit later. And during that first filming, I think it was Lauren. I think her name was Lauren. The teenage girl, she still was thinking about having a relationship with her mother. She really didn't see just how harmful things had been. And then later on, I think she had kind of started to develop and see. Yes, unknown caller. I think it was unknown caller, unknown number. And then question, do you generally equate a harmful relationship with a trauma bond? So there's something that makes the person stay, and there can be a lot of different reasons why somebody stays. A person could stay for financial reasons, but then that might be more of an emotional harm. But so just because somebody is in an unsafe relationship might not necessarily, but when there is a trauma bond, it normally is unsafe. And so, all right. I hope that's helpful. All right, let's get a little bit further down. All right. And so you can and I don't know if their attachment style quiz, I would only do free quizzes if you ever do any type of attachment style free quiz. And then anything on here, as long as it's free. So they have a breaking free from a trauma bond. They have a resource here. Stage 1 is love bombing. Love bombing is a coercive, manipulative tactic used to swiftly gain dependence and trust in a relationship. And love bombing is commonly associated with people who exhibit traits of narcissistic personality disorder, but not limited to just those individuals. And what it does is it lowers the target's personal guards, facilitates trust in the person causing harm, enables the person causing harm to prey on the needs, desires, and dreams of that individual, showing that the person causing harm has positive, so they try to have positive intentions. It provides this false sense of security, and it creates a sense of dependence on the person causing harm. So examples of love bombing. And that's where like the person is saying, I love you on the very first date. Lavish gifts very early on, like offering to pay for expensive things, excessive affection and compliments, rapid pacing to the relationship, trying to be like official or exclusive within days, like very, very soon. So just like, oh my gosh, I've never met anyone like you. But what it is it's trying to get the person to not see the red flags yet, because this individual usually has a ton of red flags. Okay. So the love bombing stage is so that the person gets their guard down, and then they can like kind of then bad things can happen. And then the person that's the target, they end up maybe because like the person might ask to move in. Like they might date two, all of a sudden they wanna move in together. And it's like, ooh, like that's a lot. And so gotta be careful. Um, because with that pacing, it's trying because it so love should grow. Healthy relationships start with like infatuation, like, ooh, I like you, you like me. And then it starts to get deeper and it grows. A trauma bond normally doesn't have a lot of depth. Like it's just these high highs, low lows. Sometimes if it's a relationship, there can be a lot, like the person can try to use intimacy to avoid conflict. So every time we're in an argument, all of a sudden they want intimacy, but like we haven't solved whatever it is that we're talking about. And so that can be a bit of a red flag where it's like, wait a minute, are we not solving these problems? And so there is some grooming that can happen with a trauma bond, but and so there are healthy connections too. So when you know the cycle and when you know what happens, there are ways to tell the difference between a healthy connection versus a trauma bond. So in a healthy relationship, it's going to build over time. It's not going to be day one. It's like where it's the end all. Like, oh my God. Like now it's fine for day one to be really nice. So if anybody asks me when I knew that like I wanted to marry my husband, I would say, like, from our very first date, I was like, oh my gosh, I think he could. It wasn't he's definitely the one. I was like, "Ooh, I think he could." And then, I was very awkward and weird on our first date because it was way too fancy. It was way too fancy for little old me. And so, our second date was super casual. Our second date was just like a coffee shop and I think an Indian restaurant where I was able to eat with my hands, and we were able to talk about things on a deeper level. And but throughout our entire relationship, we're both seeing, are there any non-negotiables? Is there anything here that would make me be like, not so much? So every relationship, you should be able to ask for space if you need it. So it's a red flag in a relationship if we can never be apart. So a person that so it can be really cute them texting you first thing in the morning and at night, but if they're texting you all day every day, never giving you any break, because what they're also doing is they're cutting off any other connections that you might have. Like that can be a bit of a red flag. So that can be a lot. Like if we are forever, always only talking to one another, that means that we're not connected to other people, which can sometimes be the person isolating you. And so, uh, uh, okay, so our first date, we went to like a really nice restaurant, and then we went to the Lion King Broadway musical, like the Broadway play, Lion King. And then I think we went to, because he had never been to Tropical Smoothie, I think. I think we went to Tropical Smoothie after. And so that wasn't too fancy. Like it wasn't like, but like a Broadway play. So what happened? My husband, he sent me the itinerary for our first date. He was like, "Okay, here's the itinerary." And I'm a planner. Like I'm currently planning a family vacation for 2027. So my mom was super impressed. She was super pleased from day one. But he had like, "I'm gonna pick you up at this time. Like we're gonna go to dinner here. We're gonna go to," and our both of our favorite musicals or both of our favorite movies. It was Lion King. Our favorite cartoon was Lion King, and it just so happened to be in our area. We went. It was super cool. My husband and I, we were set up. So I didn't have a great experience with dating. I didn't. No, I just didn't. So his cousin went to my church. So his cousin went up to my mom and was like, "Hey, is Patrice open to meeting somebody?" And we both went to Virginia Tech. So my mom checked out, and so she knew like his credit score, not exactly, but she knew he had good credit. She knew he had a good job. He was an aerospace engineer. Mama was checking off all of her list. We knew his family. Yeah, he really is a rocket scientist. We didn't go to the same church, but so his cousin and I went to the same church. And so he checked out my Facebook and he thought I was pretty. And I checked out his Facebook and I thought he was handsome. And then he messaged me on Facebook. But I had just signed up for I think it was eHarmony at the time. I had just signed up for a dating pro and it wasn't going well. I was meeting very weird people. I was in and yeah, it's like so that was it. I really like smart people. Smart is very, very sexy. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Um, uh, no, it was so Mama, what did I say? What did I say? I don't know what I said. Yeah, so we were set up, not quite arranged, but like we would have never met if it hadn't been for our families. Because if we had both been in the same place, he probably wouldn't have talked to me. And he's technically 3 years younger, but because I told him, because we were both at Virginia Tech my senior year, his freshman year, and if he had tried to talk to me, I would have been like, "No, sir. No, sir. Mm-mm. You're a freshman. Nope." All right. So back to love bombing. So we talked about examples of love bombing. And then let's see. Thank you all for hearing my little love story on this day. And no relationship is perfect. So if you want to be, so I believe marriage is a choice and people choose to stay together or they're like, "Hey, not so much." And if you don't have choice, you're in a cult or like you've been kidnapped and that's a problem. And so in our marriage, we choose each other each and every day. Um neither one of us is perfect. We both have to make adjustments. Um One of the big adjustments, so when we moved into our house, there was this open space that was just empty. It was perfect for COVID because we stored all of like our toilet paper and water. Like we just had this big storage area. Um but I was tired of it being empty. And so one day I just like showed him pictures. I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna decorate the front." And I did. And I just decorated it. And he was okay with it. Um You normally don't marry yourself. So normally the person that you're with is going to be different from you, and you should challenge each other in healthy ways. The one things that are non-negotiable in our relationship, so we don't yell at each other, we don't call each other names. Um, if we get really upset at each other, there is something that we could say to hurt the other person's feelings, and we choose not to. So we don't say or do things that intentionally hurt one another's feelings. I give him the benefit of the doubt. What the benefit of the doubt is if my husband says something and I'm like, and I'm like, and if I hear it in a way where it's like, did you mean? But I'm going to ask, I'm going to say, hey, did you mean it to come off this? And he's like, oh no, I didn't mean it. Or he's like, yeah, I did. And we have to talk about it. And so, but instead of him saying it in a certain way, and I'm like, what the? And then no. So I first check in. Is that what you meant? And then we're able to talk about it. And so, all right. So let's get back to this cycle. All right. So stage 2 is trust and dependency. This is really critical because it's meant to create a deep foundation of trust and dependence on the person causing the harm. And up until this point, they're giving constant affection, constant validation, and that's causing the target to feel like they can't live without this person. So the door is open. I'm pretty sure my husband's probably in the basement. If there's All-Star Weekend stuff happening, he's probably in the basement watching All-Star Weekend stuff. Why do they do All-Star Weekend on Valentine's Day? I will never ever get over that. Every single year, All-Star Weekend is Valentine's Day weekend. It's fine. I'm on YouTube. I said all that to say my husband could live without me. I could live without him, but we choose to be together. Does that make sense? Like, it's really unhealthy if I'm like, I could never be without this person. I could never exist without this person. That can get a bit toxic. So, my my kiddo is watching YouTube Kids. He's probably in his room. Yeah, he's not watching All-Star Weekend. The kid doesn't like. Yeah, so I choose you. I choose my partner, and it's a choice. And we have boundaries. We have non-negotiables in our relationship. We can't have an au pair situation. Nope. 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 We'd have a problem. Problem that we would talk about with alimony and child support, not, no crimes. We don't do crimes over here. Just get divorced. So many of these crimes could be fixed if people just got divorced. Okay. So in stage 2, the target starts to maybe question some of the harmer's intentions. And then the person causing the harm will often make them feel guilty for doubting them and doubting their intentions. But the target might be starting to feel weird about some of it. The person causing the harm might also try to test the target's faithfulness to them. Okay. Stage 3, criticism and devaluation. That's when these are the first red flags that are starting to show. Once the person causing the harm has created a stable sense of trust and dependency, they start shifting their demeanor to harmful behaviors. That's when they start getting very critical. They might start criticizing how they look, their intelligence, their social skills, like how they make them look. They'll start getting very critical of them. The target of the harm used to feel praised and admired. They now yearn for that approval that they once had. And because they know that this person can do that, they think, what did I do for the person to change? But that love bombing stage was never going to last forever. It was only going to last that month, that 2 months, that short period of time. Who they really are is stage 3 and on. And that's when the red flags start coming out. But because of those more positive stages, it can be really hard for the person that's caught up in this, because it feels out of nowhere where all of this, it's like, because it almost feels like that's not who they are. and so they might really start to take it personally. The change in the relationship is very painful and confusing for the target, but they've been primed to trust, so they believe that they are at fault. The target enters into a dance of receiving blame and continuing to apologize for their wrongdoings. This dance further compounds the trauma bond. Okay. Stage 4 is manipulation and gaslighting. As the target of the harm becomes more entrenched in the trauma bond, the person causing harm starts to turn up the gaslighting and manipulating behavior. Okay. And so gaslighting is where, so if let's say the person causing the harm causes the target to cry, and the person causing harm would be like, that's, I can't believe you're so insensitive. Like, I should be the one crying. You're the one that hurt my feelings. Like they try to turn themselves into the victim and those things. Do you have any advice for codependent having a hard time setting boundaries without guilt? And so I will put I'll go back and I'll add a video to what's it called? To the description, because I have one specifically on setting boundaries for people pleasers. And because when you first start to set the boundary, you need to start with people that are safe. So somebody that's in a trauma bond, you don't start with the person that's benefiting from your lack of boundaries, because they're not going to take it well. So trying to set boundaries with somebody that is benefiting from you having none, they are going to that can actually become unsafe, even more unsafe. So you start with safe, healthy people. You start in safe, healthy relationships, and then you figure out how to navigate, because the people that need your boundaries the most are the ones that don't like them. But there is sometimes so let's say I have a coworker that's always eating my food or something. I'm picking something minuscule. I'm picking something small. So because the boundary is, it's my food, my name is on it, and this coworker keeps eating my food. I might intentionally take a bite out of I shouldn't have to do this. I should be able to put my sandwich in the refrigerator without having to take a bite out of it or anything. Do you know what I mean? Um, uh, um, but sometimes you have to find creative ways to set boundaries with people that don't respect them. So with Juliana and Brendan, who was the one who couldn't set a boundary? So it should have been. So I don't know how their story really started, because Brendan is over here like all of a sudden one day Juliana texts him, and then they start this flirty banter, and then they end up upstairs in the room. I imagine that there were some glances. I imagine that it started slower than that. I think he didn't want to make it look like he was over a period of time flirting with her, or they were flirting back and forth over a period of time. Um, uh, it was not a good situation. So, I put more fault on the person in the marriage than the person that did not say I do. So to me, it was on Brendan to keep it in his pants, even if Juliana's running around butt naked. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's the one that said I do. He's the one in the relationship. Or if he knows, hey, we've been kind of flirty and I don't, but Brendan had a history of affairs. So like, the affair with Juliana, I don't think the affair with Juliana was a big thing, but I think him and Juliana connected on this darker side where she didn't stop his plan to kill his wife. So, it's bad. All right. I hope that's helpful. All right. We're going to keep going. So the person causing harm pushes the target to a breaking point, which often causes the target to become even more dependent and compliant in the relationship. At this stage, the target is less likely to challenge the harm if they do, they risk they risk reactive harm. Okay. All right. So stage 5, resignation and giving up. This one is really hard because the target becomes emotionally exhausted. They might actually start therapy for depression or therapy for anxiety. And as we're working and I start to hear about some of the frustrations in their relationship, so I never tell somebody to stay or leave. That's always their choice because each person has like because if they're married with children, it can be expensive to get a divorce. But sometimes the relationship is influencing their emotions and how they're feeling. And so I warn people like, hey, as we start to work on your self-esteem and how you feel about yourself, you might start to feel a little bit different. Was anyone else weirded out that Brendan and Juliana were going on out-of-state trips on the regular? Uh, I because I think if he traveled, I think sometimes Juliana would meet up with him. And then I did think it was weird that they went to New York with the child still, but yeah. So I think he did sleep with his best friend's wife, didn't or like it seemed like that best friend comment because his comeback to that was, well, we really weren't all that close. I think Brendan did. I think Brendan used his money to get women. He's n- he's He's not conventionally attractive. I think I can and I don't like talking bad about, but, like, he's not charming to me. Like, everything about him goes ick to me personally, but I think he used his status with the IRS and, he's this federal agent. I think he puffed himself up in a way where I'm guessing somebody would like him. Ugh. And I think he sometimes targeted younger because I think he liked younger women. 'Cause I think he would pay to keep them around, and what I mean by that is I think he would, like, buy them gifts and things. Because remember, he was looking up sugar babies and stuff. So, yeah, okay. Alright, so let's keep it going. Alright, so stage 6 is loss of self. After prolonged gaslighting, manipulation, and other forms of harm, the target often loses a sense of who they are as a person. And instead constantly being belittled, made to feel crazy, worthless, inadequate, makes leads to them losing any boundaries that they once had. And then stage 7, emotional addiction to this bond. And so getting out of the relationship, the person can go through this withdrawal of like really everything hitting them because in their mind, they might think that they were the problem and they're really not seeing the other side of it. And so sometimes it can be a lot when somebody realizes, "Oh, no, I've been manipulated. Like, this was not a safe relationship." That can really do, a lot to somebody. So, I have a, Amazon it's just so and you can buy the books at your favorite store, but if you go to Dr. Barry's Favorite Things, I have self-help book, so I think it's right on Amazon. I will put I have my Amazon storefront. Some of my favorite books are It's Not You by Dr. Ramani. There is a book, Loving You is Hurting Me. And let me share this tab. There we go. So, Loving You is Hurting Me, a new approach to healing trauma bonds and creating authentic relationships. I was able to do a course. So, it was like I was at a conference, and this speaker, Dr. Laura Copley, she did a talk. Now, the one thing is if the person is actively harmful, you don't try to repair a bond with somebody that's not safe. But if the person is willing, so if it can be a safe relationship, because a lot of her work is in couples work. So when couples come together, working with them separately and then sometimes together once the relationship is safe enough to do that. But Loving You is Hurting Me talks about creating healthy trauma bonds and creating healthy healing trauma bonds and creating authentic relationship. And so I have that one in the storefront. Let's see what some of my other favorite books are. Break the Cycle is just breaking generational harm. For boundaries, Nedra Glover Tawwab has Set Boundaries, Find Peace. If you're ever looking for a book on boundaries, the Set Boundaries, Find Peace, that is a phenomenal book. Let me go down right there. Set Boundaries, Find Peace. She also has a new book about healing codependency. I haven't started it yet. It's called Balancing Act. The audiobook just came out and I do need to go and listen to it. And so, all right. Let me know if y'all have any general questions. And I will make sure to share that boundaries. That video I did on setting boundaries. Boundaries, people pleasers. It was a book so it was me and my mom, but did I do a different one? Because once again, the people that need your boundaries the most are not going to like them. Okay. So I think it is a podcast episode with me and my mom. So I think I shared the link to the Amazon storefront, but you can just type in Dr. Patrice Berry Amazon storefront and the link should come right up. Those are affiliate links. If you purchase through the link, you don't have to. So you can go to your favorite local bookstore. If you have another favorite bookstore that you love, I just like having all of it there. Yes. So glad this is helpful. Good. You use this list for reference when purchasing books for your library. That is awesome. Yes. Yes. And so there are some members only videos. So there's some former podcast episodes with me and my mom. And then I do have some public ones available too. All right. So I heard Judge Penny just retired. So I think she's about to retire. I think her retirement is coming up soon, and I think she just wants to like go be happy. I don't know. I wish her all the best. I heard she's retiring, and so I wish her all the best. I do think Rob from Law and Lumber, he probably could contact Judge Penny and actually get to meet her. I don't know if he's been in her court at all, but I'm pretty sure Rob could do that. Yeah. I barely have time to do coffee with my friends. I would fangirl. Like if I got to meet Judge Penny in person, I would just be sitting there. Like I would go to like her book signing or something, or like a meet and greet. I wouldn't just reach out to her for coffee. Okay. So Rob said he wouldn't. Yeah. Okay. That she might be an appeal issue if he interviewed her. Yeah. Yeah. If she ever wanted, Judge Penny, if you're watching, if you ever wanted to come on my channel, I could do a private recording and then I would make it available to you all. But I think Judge Penny just wants to retire and go and be happy. Thank you so much. Thank you. So, because I mentioned that I didn't have a great experience with dating. And there are some men that are intimidated by intelligent women. So, and what I mean by that, and I've always been attracted to smart men. And sometimes smart men don't always like intelligent women. Like, I'm not saying that that's everybody. I'm just saying my experience. And I was described as being unapproachable. So by the time I met my husband, I graduated from high school in June of 2000. I started Virginia Tech in July. So I did summer school. I did a summer program. So I started Virginia Tech in July. I did not date anybody at Virginia Tech. It's just I was focused on school. And then I ended up and so Carol, I think I have a buy me a coffee in the chat. I don't think I have Venmo. I don't think I have anything set up, but thank you anyway. And then I graduated from Virginia Tech in June of 2004. And then I started Regent, my doctoral program, August of 2024. I graduated in August of 2009. No, 2009. I graduated in August of 2009. And then I met my husband because then I got licensed. Yeah. So I met him in 2010. Yeah. So I was busy. I was really, really busy. I was so busy. Did she do an interview? Let me know if she did an interview. Yeah. So my husband is so much smarter than I am. He is very, very smart. I can hold my own too, but he is very, very smart. He is very, very smart. And I don't run after men. So I wasn't one to like run after people. And I had really, really good boundaries. So I wasn't one to just like date for fun. Like I'm like, no, I like to go out to eat. So I did go to I went to school in Virginia Beach. I used to live in Suffolk, Virginia. I would go to like dinner. So I've done like lunches and dinners with people, but like it never became anything serious. Then and then it was really cool that my husband, that we both graduated from Virginia Tech. And when we met, we were both serious about dating, looking forward for like what that might be. So, we had been dating for like almost 2 years, I think. And I asked him, I was like, hey, is this going anywhere? Because if it's not, I'm going to move to Germany or the UK. I hope y'all heard. I'm sure y'all heard that. I'm sure the chat heard that. I was like, hey, like if you need some more time before you know what you want, like I'm gonna move. I'm gonna go to. I loved living in Germany. I was gonna look at becoming an Air Force psychologist, and I was gonna go move. Guten Tag. I lived in Bitburg, Germany for like 5 years. So I can't say it in past tense, but in present tense is Ich wohne a Bitburg. I lived there for like 5 years. Ah. You're German living in the US. So Germany was one of my favorite places to live. We lived in Japan. I don't remember that. I was young. I was a baby. But I love living in Germany. Our 8th grade trip, we went to London. That's it. In the US for their 8th grade trip, I think they go to Richmond, Virginia. They go to the capital of Virginia. We went to London and saw the play Oliver. We saw a Broadway play. Like that's it was the honor society, but still that was our 8th grade trip. And so yes, go to Jamestown. Like so I loved living in Germany. And then around my 50th birthday, I'm going to do a trip to Paris. We did Paris before, but I want to go back with my family. So Muti, where was your favorite place to live? So, and that's what anybody that's German, because I believe Muti is mommy in German, because that's when I started calling my mom that. Oh, I love y'all sharing y'all's love stories. And so my husband is not a true crime person at all. I think he is subscribed to my channel, but he's one of those subscribers that probably hurts my analytics, because when my videos show up, he doesn't watch them. Just fine. I don't. Oh, so my mother's favorite place to live was Germany, and I gave her an ultimatum. So she asked me, she was like, Patrice, would you rather move your 10th grade year or your 12th grade year. And I was like, mother, my 10th grade year, because I am weird. I am weird. I needed that time to adjust. So when we lived in Germany, I thought there were 10 colleges. I thought I was going to go to UNC Chapel Hill because we only saw, this was back in the day. So this was in the 90s. There was only Air Force Network, AFN. That was our only TV station. And they only broadcast like the big football games and stuff. So I only knew of like 10 colleges. And then we moved to Virginia, and there were probably 10 colleges just in the Tidewater 757 area. You have ODU, William and Mary, Norfolk State, Hampton University, Regent. So they're probably like, there are all these colleges. You have your community colleges, so CNU, Christopher Newport University. You have all these colleges just within that area. Oh, you're a Dario. So I almost Mutter. Okay, so I call her Mutti. So but Mutter, yes, is mother in German. Mutter. Yes. And so I did. I absolutely loved living in Germany. So what did I love about living in Germany? So overseas, I felt like an American. So just an American. So when I was in town, so when I'm in the US, I very much feel like an African American. Like I feel like people, I don't know, like I don't feel just American here, but in Germany, I felt American because we were told, like, don't wear starter jackets or be careful what you wear because you represent America. Like they were like, be appropriate downtown because, you represent America, because they can get back to the base if kids are acting up downtown. So I went to school on a military base, but we lived off base. And we were very close with our neighbors. I loved that meals just seemed fresher. So if we went out to dinner, it might take 2-3 hours, but everything was just so fresh, and the food was phenomenal. My favorite food was probably Jaeger schnitzel. Probably not good for you, but it was great. Ooh, yeah. But I don't know. I love the culture. I love the environment. We were about an hour and a half from Trier. No, not Trier. We were an hour and a half from Brussels, and then we were really close to France. So we could drive to France and take a boat to the UK. We traveled a ton when we lived in Germany. And so it was great. Sauerbraten, nice. So I love bratwurst and Oktoberfest. So the base would do like a big Oktoberfest festival. Like they would do a big event every, October. I did track and field. So I was able to travel around to different parts of Germany. And I don't know, like we just had fun. It was good. It was good. All right. I'm going to go find my family. Because we're like, I'm pretty sure my husband's in the basement. I think my son is in his room. So I'm going to go find my family. Thank you all so much for being here. I want to talk about the difference between healthy connection, healthy love, and a trauma bond. Trauma bond, once again, is that roller coaster of a relationship. Normal relationships have their ups and downs, but they're not this like, it shouldn't be this constant, you're feeling sick, because like it's just so. And the thing that can be confusing in an unhealthy connection is that the good is so good, but the bad is abusive. And so, yes, Ramstein Air Force Base. Yes, that was little Germany. No, little US. We loved your PX. We loved it. We loved it. Yep. So we spent a lot of time at Ramstein, Wiesbaden, what were the other ones? Baumholder. I think that's a real place. We spent a lot of time there. So Spangdahlem was the base because Bitburg closed, and then Spangdahlem was the base that's open. And so thank you all so much for being here. I love getting to share with you all. I hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Happy Valentine's Day. May your love be healthy, kind, and I will see y'all next time. Don't do crimes. Bye.